Welcome to another episode of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always, well, for now at least, is our old pal Bob Myers. Bob.
Hello. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row now. This is big.
Yeah, there he is, Bob. He's filling in for Kevin Jank, new Mike L there. So Jank should be back, fingers crossed, he should be back next week.
We're hoping so. People don't want to be listening to me.
Yeah, no. You're doing a bang-up job here filling in for Jank. And you will also, later at the end of the show, you will be picking a book that you'll be joining us next week to do that book, correct?
Yes. Spoiler alert, listeners, that will be my last episode after Mike Dell finds out my pick.
Oh, no. That's not good at all. All right. Well, that's a little teaser there for the rest of the show. But this week, Bob, in a way of thanking you for filling in for Jank, I know you're a big fan of the Planet of the Apes.
I love them apes.
So, this week we're doing Adventures on the Planet of the Apes, issue 2, 1975. That's a bit of a wordy title.
It really is.
Could have just cut that down a bit, I think, Planet of the Apes.
Because, I think they had, if I read right, they had a Planet of the Apes book, which came out around the same time, but it's different than the Adventures, because the Adventures is basically just retelling the movies.
I'll explain this. We'll get into it here. This all actually started in 1963 when French author Pierre Boulle, I'm not French, B-O-U-L-L-E, Boulle, he published La Planète des Singes, which translated can either mean Planet of the Apes or Monkey Planet.
Monkey Planet.
How great would that be if it was named Monkey Planet?
Right? They really should have gone with Monkey Planet.
I think so, too. Hey, this Boulle fella, he also wrote The Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I have not read that one. I have read Planet of the Apes. The English
you have?
version, yeah.
Wow, you really do love Planet of the Apes.
I do. It's a good book.
That's no exaggeration.
Yeah.
If you're reading the book and watching the movies,
I know, really putting in the effort.
That's a fan. Well, I guess we might as well ask the obvious question. Is the book better than the movie?
They're very similar, actually. The movie really follows the book pretty closely.
Oh, all right. How about that?
Well, the twist in the book is more goofy, but probably better. So.
Okay. Now, spoiler alert for those people who've never seen the movies. I've actually never seen a Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh, man.
That's shocking. I know, because I'm very unabashedly Team Monkey. So you think I'd be watching Planet of the Apes every day. But it's one of those films you think you've seen it even though you haven't.
Yeah.
And like when I was a kid growing up, Planet of the Apes were all over the place. Like I think there was a TV show for a little bit, and just like do you remember Viewmasters?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the little thing, little goggles, and they spin around. Kids today have no idea what we're talking about. But you'd look at pictures and they'd be like three-dimensional. You look at them. Well, I had like Planet of the Apes of Viewmasters and stuff,
Nice.
But I don't think I've actually ever seen the movie. Anyway, the movie was released in 1968. It was directed by Franklin J. Schaefer from a screenplay by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Twilight Zone fame, Rod Serling. The movie starred Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, and Kim Hunter. Serling wrote the original script, but he envisioned a technologically advanced monkey society. As do I. That's what I envision as well. But the movie producers said, hey, that's going to cost too much money to film, So, can we, knock this down a bit? So then they brought in Michael Wilson. He rewrote the script and he made the society more primitive, without so many, fancy gadgets and whatnot.
But too much money to film is a recurring theme amongst the Planet of the Apes movies.
You never know by looking at them. But, Rod Serling, he did have the twist ending. That was his idea, the twist ending. So they kept that. So how did the book end? Because in the movie, of course, Charlton Heston sees a Statue of Liberty. He says, what the what? We've been on Earth this whole time? One of them deals. So how did the book end?
Well, the book has a framing device around it where basically it's like a story that's been written as a journal, more or less, that some astronauts, like people, not even astronauts, like just luxury travelers who are just out traveling space. they find and they start reading it, and it basically tells essentially the same story. And at the end of that journal/book, he travels back in time, lands on Earth, and he sees like the not Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, because he's in France.
Uh-huh.
And then there's apes there, and so that's how it ends. But then the framing device is that's when you find out that the people reading the story up in their spacecraft, they're also apes, and they find the story unbelievable because they certainly couldn't be talking humans.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So basically, when Rod Serling, they said he came up with this twist ending, he changed the Eiffel Tower to the Statue of Liberty.
Well, I mean, in the story, like, it goes back in time, and so he thinks he's getting back to Earth. Like, he's flying over Paris, and he sees Paris as it is. It's just he lands, and then there's apes there. Whereas in the movie, he's still in this primitive world, and he just sees a destroyed Statue of Liberty. So it's like, okay, that's when he realizes I'm on Earth. I'm just on Earth 2,000 years in the future or whatever it is.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So it's not a big difference, but yeah. To say he came up with a twist ending is basically he changed the twist ending slightly.
So the movie was a big hit, and it led to 4 sequels that all came out within 1970 to 1973. So they were just churning these movies out a year. And I guess there were subsequent movies after that, but in terms of the original series, there were, because they did the remakes, of course, in the 2000s. Yep. Tim Roth was a monkey, I believe, right?
So they did 2 different remakes. Yeah, they did a Tim Burton remake. That's where Tim Roth is a monkey, a very good monkey. And then like 10 years later, they did another set of that one only lasted 1 because it was terrible. But then it's basically an ongoing series because the 4th one is actually coming out next year. I found out a couple days ago. Yeah.
So do you watch? Do you have like a Twitter alert whenever Planet of the Apes news comes up? Like,
no, I just found out the other day that they're making a 4th one. I didn't realize they were, because it's shamefully to admit, being such a big Planet of the Apes fans, I'd never actually seen the last one of the new trilogy until this week. I was like, I really need to watch that. And I was reading about it. It's like, oh, they're making a 4th one.
So did you like these newer movies?
I do. They're very good. They're, arguably better than the originals. They're certainly better acted and better directed. But,
And I'm guessing the costumes are a little better.
Costumes are a little bit better. Yeah.
So do these new ones, you mentioned they did the one Tim Burton one. And was that like a faithful remake of the original movie then, that Tim Burton one?
Sort of. It had an even worse twist ending, but yeah, like it was roughly the same storyline.
What was the twist ending?
So that one, it stars Mark Wahlberg, which is a twist enough in itself. That's bad enough. But then at the very end, he goes back in time, and when he gets back to Washington, D.C., he goes up to the Lincoln Monument, and sitting on the Lincoln Monument
it's a monkey.
Giant ape. Yeah.
That's right.
And it makes 0 sense. Like, there's no plausible explanation for how that would happen.
I like that, though. That's pretty good. All right. So then the later ones, who's the star of the later ones?
It's different in every movie. The first one is James Franco, but John Lithgow's in it. John Lithgow's great. Franco's just fine. Really, I guess the star is, I'm blanking on his name.
What was
Andy Serkis, right?
Andy Serkis? I have no idea who that is.
He does a lot of motion capture acting. He played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies.
I'll take your word for it.
He played Claw in Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
That's Claw.
Yeah. That's a reference I know.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of stuff. He's really a great actor, and he plays the main ape in those movies. So he's really like the star. And then the humans are different in every movie.
Now, are they faithful to the original movies, or are they taking it in a whole different way?
No, it's a much different story. It's more of a prequel, though it's unclear if it's the same timeline or not. But it's how it starts with normal human society, and then they're creating basically a medicine to cure Alzheimer's, because James Franco's dad is John Lithgow and he has Alzheimer's, and somehow it causes a simian flu, which makes the apes smarter and kills off a large percentage of the U.S. or the human population. So the second movie is like an post-apocalypse, and then the third movie there's hardly any humans left, and it's just apes fighting humans. It's good stuff.
Team Ape.
For sure.
1968 was the year the movie came out. It was also the year that Planet of the Apes first appeared in comic books, and they appeared in 2 Japanese manga adaptations of the film. That was their first entry into comic books. But then in 1970, Gold Key Comics published an adaptation of the second Planet of the Apes movie.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
So
that one, I'm guessing,
so
didn't do well. The second of the Planet of the Apes is really bad.
All right. From 1974 to 1977, Marvel published Planet of the Apes under their Curtis imprint, and this was the black and white magazine format books. Mm-hmm. So then in 1975, they reprinted the same stories in color as Adventures on the Planet of the Apes, and this ran for 11 issues, and this series covered the first 2 films. So I think like the first 6 issues are the first movie, and the second 5 are the second movie.
And if I read right, the Curtis issues, it's like half and half. It's half original stories and then half retelling of the movies, I think.
I think that's correct.
Like, yeah. I think the retelling of the movie was like the backup story for the issues.
And yeah, the one we're reading today, they're just retelling the movie again. So nothing too groundbreaking with what we're doing here. But the stories from Curtis Magazine were then edited and released by Marvel UK as a weekly title over in Britain there that lasted 123 issues. And this series also included reworked Killraven stories where he was renamed Ape Slayer and he fought a bunch of apes.
Okay, well, clearly gonna need to read those.
Yeah, we've never done Killraven on the show. We've teased it a few times, but we'll get to him eventually. But from what I understand, Killraven was basically a War of the Worlds based kind of story, and Killraven was fighting aliens. So then they just switched that around. They did the old switcheroo. Now he's Ape Slayer. He's fighting apes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm definitely going to look that up.
Hey, Bob, I got some good news for you, though. Marvel has reacquired the rights to the Planet of the Apes, and they are planning to launch a Planet of the Apes series in 2023.
Ooh, very exciting.
So, yeah, that is pretty good. All right. Well, that's all the background I have here on the Planet of the Apes. Anything else you'd like to tell the kids about your love for Planet of the Apes?
I don't know. That probably covers it. I mean,
yeah, I think we did.
I could keep going, but nobody really probably wants to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't stated it, succinctly yet. But Planet of the Apes is just about a planet, which is Earth, of apes ruling over humans, and humans are like filthy animals, and the apes are all highfalutin and intelligent. They're classy, and they like to wear long coats.
They do like wearing long coats.
That's the other thing I remember. All right, so let's take a look at this book. The cover is by Rich Buckler. He's always a favorite of mine. Describe the cover for us, Bob.
All right. Well, you've got basically it's apes capturing some humans. The apes are all in their military garb. One of them's riding a big horse. They're shooting lasers or laser guns, which they don't have in the movie, I'm pretty sure. Right. And they've got one human caught in a net, and they're kind of catching him and pulling him out from under his legs, while another one rides behind him on a horse. Oh, I guess shooting one human in the back while looking the other direction. He's really very good at this.
He is very talented.
And he's shouting, "Drag those human scum, my fellow simians. Drag them to their deaths."
Yes. That's what I say every morning when I wake up. But the one monkey in the foreground, he's holding up a rifle. That looks like an old rifle, like it's wood,
Yeah, but it's also got like a pistol grip, which is a little weird. Yeah.
But then, like you mentioned, the other monkey, clearly it looks like a laser gun he's shooting. But I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Because they did have guns, but I don't believe they had laser guns.
Yeah. This composition's a little weird, the way it's...
it's a little strange. And, like, I get that they've got to be capturing the guy with the net, so you need the other ape, but all you see is his arm and part of his head. It's just off frame.
May have been able to do this a little better.
Yeah. But, the horse may be just floating in the background. The guy riding the horse is just, like, maybe it's sleeping, but it's very confusing what's going on there.
But it's a hell of a quote, though. Also, it's 25 cents, and we got a nice close up of a monkey or an ape as like the corner box there. Although it's just a circle, and he's not in a box. Just a big old ape face.
Still quality Marvel corner box right there.
It's pretty good. All right, so this book here, this is written by Doug Mensch, and we've talked about Doug Mensch in the past on here. He had a celebrated run on Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Shang-Chi, master of Kung Fu there. And he also created Moon Knight and Deathlock. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he did a bunch of Batman as well, unfortunately.
Didn't everybody?
But he wrote issues 1 through 29 of the Curtis magazine, Planet of the Apes. So that's a lot of apes.
Yeah. How many? Because you said the British comics reprinted it in 129 issues. Did the Curtis comics run that long? Last that long?
That's a good question. I don't know if I even wrote down how long the Curtis was going. I think maybe just 29. Let's just say 29.
All right, sounds good.
the British went for 123. So they came out weekly, so they cut them up smaller and whatever.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So George Tuska is the artist. We've talked about George Tuska plenty of times on here as well. I think he just did the Mr. Fish Luke Cage story we did, Power Man, a couple weeks ago. He also did Masters of the Universe we did a long time ago. But he was an older fella, old school comic book artist. I like George Tuska. And he drew the first 6 issues of this series. So
basically the first movie, and then he's like, all right, I'm out.
Yes. Yeah. So, all right, Bob, we open it up, and what do we see here describe what we see on the splash page.
We got the apes. They're tying up some humans and putting them into a cage, and one of them, he can't shake the notion that he actually heard a human speak, but the other ape does not believe.
Yeah, humans can't talk. Now, the reason I went with issue 2 was because issue 1 is basically nothing but humans. And then the apes came in right on like the last 2 pages. Yeah. So I wanted a book with a lot of monkeys. So that's why we went with issue 2. So they're rounding up the humans. They throw them in a little cage. And so this is the Charlton Heston character, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. He got shot in the neck, and so he was speaking before they started rounding him up, and he got shot in the neck, so he's unable to speak at the moment.
So that happened in the movie as well?
Yes.
Shot in the neck? All right.
Yep.
And they throw him in this little wheeled wagon here of a bunch of other prisoners. And thankfully, there's a foxy brunette in there as well.
Yeah, it's always good to have a foxy brunette around.
Yeah. And so humans just roamed wild on this planet. Is that the situation?
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it really very much is like humans were the monkeys of our time, because this is the future and this is going to happen to us. So yeah, basically they drove around in packs and foraged for whatever they could find. Some were wearing, and they are wearing clothing, so they're a little bit more advanced than monkeys.
Yeah, like the lady is covered up, and the fellas have their loincloths on. Look at the panel where Charlton Heston is clutching at his throat, and he's like, if I lose much more blood, and he's going to pass out. And the lady's looking at him. But dig that background thatch work.
Right? Yeah, that's good stuff.
I don't know who the inker is on this. They didn't even put, like, the credits in the book.
Yeah, but there's several panels like that where it's like, yeah, they really put a lot of detail into these backgrounds.
So I'm guessing that's the inker.
I would imagine that's the inker, yeah. I mean, I guess it could have been the penciler, but that feels like an inker.
Yeah, because that'd be making a lot of work for your inker.
Right. Or maybe he hated the inker, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to put thatch marks all over this thing. Make him work.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. So I'll look up who the inker is. Bob, you describe what else is happening here in this story.
All right, so basically, like I said, they've been thrown into their cages. The apes are talking about how it's a sin to even claim that humans have any intelligence. Meanwhile, Charlton Heston's character is all in thought bubbles about how he can't talk, and he's so confused because the humans are the prey of this planet, and the predators were apes, gorillas with rifles. There's a great shot of a gorilla with his foot on top of a human holding his gun, very much like a 19th century hunter standing over his kill.
And the inker is Mike Esposito.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, does that name mean something to you?
I feel like I know Mike Esposito. Isn't he a known anchor? Am I thinking of Phil Esposito?
Yeah.
I'm probably thinking of Phil
Perhaps.
Esposito.
Boston Bruin great. Esposito. But anyway, so yeah, Mike Esposito does the inks here, and he does a good job. A lot of interesting line work here. So yeah, they round up the monkeys, like you said, or the humans, and they have them on an operating table. They're checking them out.
Yeah, I gotta fix him up because basically these are the brain surgeons of the apes who are researching on humans to try to figure out how the brain works, so they can then use that knowledge later on monkeys, which is
But I will
not
tell you,
really part of the movie. But yeah, go ahead.
there's a lot of anti-human prejudice.
There's a lot of anti-human prejudice, very much, which is one of the main themes of the movies.
Yeah, because this one doctor is outraged that he even has to sully his hands by working on these humans, and because they bit his hand. Someone bit his hand, and he shows him his hand. He's like, oh, look at the teeth marks on my hand. He's not a fan of the humans.
I mean, if some doctor started cutting on me with no anesthesia, I'd probably bite him too. Seems fair. So, even if he was a monkey.
Oh, no, you can't bite a monkey. Monkeys are awesome. So Charlton Heston, he's got his throat bandaged up, and they throw him in another prison cell. And again, this is like a primitive world because the prison cells are like bamboo tied together and stuff, you know. And but hey, there's a nice lady doctor though.
Yeah.
A lady monkey doctor.
Dr. Zira.
Dr. Zira. And so I guess she's like I've seen this lady monkey doctor in movies, right? Like she's always prominently featured in the movies as well, right?
Yeah, she's in the first 3 movies. Less than the second. Is she even in the second? I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
There were 3 monkeys. There were 3 monkeys I know of. The lady doctor who's nice, someone named Cornelius.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her fiance in this, right?
Yep.
And then Dr. Zaius.
Yes. Yeah, those are definitely the 3 most prominent of the monkeys.
Yeah. So Zira, the nice lady doctor, she takes a liking to Charlton Heston. She calls him Bright Eyes.
Yeah, which they just kind of jump into. There's no moment where she sees his eyes. She's like, okay, you're called Bright Eyes. Like they're basically retelling the movie. They're just cutting things out and writing worse dialogue, quite frankly. But,
does she call him Bright Eyes in the movie?
She does call him Bright Eyes in the movie.
That's unfortunate. All right, so but Charlton Heston, he's trying to talk, but he can't talk because his throat's fucked up. So he's getting all mad and angry. But the other monkey, he's like writing on a notepad, taking notes. And Charlton Heston sees the notepad, and he's trying to say, "Hey, give me the notepad. You know, I can write." But they won't give it to him. So he gets mad, and he like reaches out through the bars. And so the other monkey gets mad and like sticks him right in the Charlie Brown's with the giant stick. Boom.
He knows how to get those humans in line.
I guess this guy's name is Julius.
Yes.
Monkey. He's kind of a dick. This Julius.
Well, you know, he's got to keep the humans in line in their cages. He can't be letting them get out of control.
Well,
he's got a job to do.
I love this panel on the next page where we get a close up of Zira and Julius's faces in like the red background with all the thatch work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much thatch work on just this page. Like, but yeah, those shocked looks. It's great.
Yeah, because their excellency is coming in now. Is this? Oh, Dr. Zaius. Dr. Zaius. He walks in, and he looks like an older. What kind of? I guess he's an older chimp.
He's an orangutan. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, an orangutan.
Basically, there's 3, classes for lack of a better word, of monkeys. So there's the orangutans who are a little more spiritual. They're the politicians and the religious people. And the chimpanzees are more your science people and medical people. And then the gorillas are the war tribe, essentially. Oh. So they're all living together, but they basically are in their own groups.
Yeah. And Zaius, he's telling them, hey, you know, does he just say like, hey, watch yourself with this human there, you know? You got to be careful of this human.
Trust him. Doesn't like his bright eyes.
Because he's Charlton Heston's moving his fingers around and stuff, and he's like, oh, he's just imitating what Zira's doing. He can't think on his own, you know.
Certainly not.
Just a dopey human. So then they leave him alone in prison, and then this digital version that we read, Bob, it had 2 pages like repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read the first panel. Like, this seems very familiar.
I was confused as well. But so then Zaius, they leave him because he says the sooner they're exterminated, the better. This is Zaius. He hates humans.
He's not about it, you know.
Man, I thought he's supposed to be spiritual. What a jerk.
He's more political.
Say so. All right, so here, this is what I like, Bob. Explain what happens now, because Zira wants to, cheer up Charlton Heston. So what does she do?
She brings him a present.
Yeah.
She takes the foxy brunette, whose name is Nova. It's not covered in the comic, but that is who she is. And
This is like a different is this a different foxy brunette though? Because the other one we had earlier in the book had like straight hair. And this one has kind of a...
Yeah, this might be a different one. In the movie, I'm pretty sure it's the same lady, but it might actually be a different one here. I'm scrolling back up to see.
They're both foxy.
Yeah. I mean, they look pretty similar, and they can't talk or speak.
Maybe they just gave her a haircut to make her look foxier for straight eyes.
Yeah, so they throw her into the cage with Charlton Heston to keep him happy, I guess, it's not entirely clear what the reasoning is.
Well, yeah, to keep him happy, but then when Zira's leaving, she says, "Have fun, Bright Eyes, unless you prefer to take all your exercise in the compound, ... So they cut to the compound then. But basically she's saying, have fun having sex with that foxy brunette we threw in your cage.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just, it's a question of, I mean, I guess she's a good scientist. She wants her subjects to be happy.
I gotta tell you, this sounds like a pretty good life. Surrounded by monkeys, they just throw ladies in there for you.
Yeah, as long as you're not grabbing at them, they don't beat you up. It's a pretty good life. I mean,
so you're locked in a cage. Big deal. I'm basically locked in my house, and I don't have a foxy lady here or monkeys. So
it's true. I mean, I don't know if they touch on it in this book, but one of his friends survives, and bad things happen to his friend.
Oh.
Basically, he gets lobotomized.
Oh.
Life is less good for him.
Yeah, well, it's only fair. We've been doing it to monkeys all these years.
Right? So they're doing it to us.
Doing the old switcheroo. This really is an ingenious idea, by this French author guy.
Yeah, it's a very good story. That's why I like it.
Amazing.
An interesting, fun story. And they've been able to milk it for so many movies.
So now they go out in the compound, and it's just like they when they take them out in the compound, they throw them in basically this big it looks like a tea kettle or something with bars, and they just get to jump around and climb and play like monkeys would, except they're humans. And Charlton Heston, he's trying to write in the ground, because he's like, oh, I can't talk, so if I use my finger here to write some letters in the dirt, I can tell them that I'm smart. So that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Well, though I will have one critique of his idea, is he's like writing it so he can read
it. Yes, that is true. He really should have written it the other way. But he's smart, but he's not that smart. He's still Charlton Heston for it.
Yeah, he's not writing it so the people outside the cage can read it easily. He's writing it so he can read it inside the cage. So yeah, either way.
Maybe he's writing a note to himself. He's like, I can write. It's a self-assurance.
But the foxy brunette though, she like wipes out the letter, and she doesn't want him to let them know that he can think. Now, what's going on there?
I'm not sure, and I don't remember if in the movie she's doing it intentionally. I think in the movie she's more just kind of walking around and playing in the dirt and like does it accidentally.
Because here it looks very intentional.
It does look very intentional here. It's confusing what's going on here.
So I wasn't sure, like if she's like a hidden member of the human resistance, and they're actually very smart and they're planning, to take the monkeys down. And she's like, don't tip them off that we're smart.
No,
but that's not what's happening.
She is not smart.
Okay. All right.
Or if she is, she keeps it so hidden that we never find out. Which is possible.
So Charlton Heston is like angry at her though and he like kind of slaps her aside, He's like, get out of here. So then that causes another guy to come in, and then Charlton Heston punches him, and then a big fight breaks out among the humans. So when that happens, the apes have to come in and lay down the law.
Coming in with whips and fire.
Whips and fire.
Which is really quite harsh.
Yeah, and it's not like a flamethrower or something. It's just a stick with that's on fire.
Yeah, it's just a big torch with a huge fire that they just shove in people's faces and just burn them.
Is that what they did in the movie?
They definitely came in with whips. I don't remember if they had fire or not. It's been probably 10 years since I've seen the first movie, so I don't remember exactly. But essentially, this all happens. Yeah.
But Zira is outraged that they just set Bright Eyes on fire. They basically stuck him in the throat with the torch. So she's upset, and she's yelling at him. And they say, "All right, that's enough of the compound. Take them back to their cages." But I was confused by this because in order to take them back to their cages, they have to form an orderly line and march them back. And it seems like that's a security risk.
Right. Yeah. But I guess they've been doing this for a while. They've got a system.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in prisons they do the same thing and they go out and let them lift weights and stuff, right? Out in the yard. Yeah.
Now, you are correct, and I don't remember if it happens at this point in the movie or not, but Charlton Heston does escape one of these lines and start running amok.
Oh, all right.
It might be later in the movie. I don't
remember. And so Cornelius comes in. He's also here with Zira, and we mentioned they're going to get married. Well, that's nice. Start a little monkey family.
Good to have both.
And Zaius is he sees that there's still some letters in the dirt. And he sticks his foot in the cage and like smushes out the letters. So he knows that one human is smart. Mm-hmm. So this Zaius, he's a real son of a bitch, isn't he?
He is a bit of a son of a bitch. It's true.
Yeah. I hope he gets his comeuppance.
You'll have to read on to find out.
That's Zaius. All right, so then, hey, we get a fruit pie advertisement with the Hulk.
Yeah, I'll admit I didn't actually read this.
Yeah, I didn't read it either.
I'm sure it's very good.
Yeah, it's always nice to enjoy a fruit pie ad. And so Zira is mending Charlton Heston's wounded arm because he got a burn, and she's taking this Zira is a nice monkey lady.
She's a very nice monkey lady.
And but Charlton Heston, he's just being sneaky. He waits for her to take care of his arm, and then he grabs her notepad and pencil, and he starts scribbling. And I don't know if this is Julius still or no, this is an ape.
This is just a guard, I think.
So he runs in with the billy club, and he's like, "I dropped the pad, you stupid human," and calls him stupid beast. And Charlton Heston's scribbling away, and the gorilla whumps him on the back of the head, whump, and whack. Hits him again. But Charlton Heston's still conscious, so that's nice. And the gorilla gives back the notepad to Zira, and we get another great panel of Zira's reaction when she looks at the pad. That's a great shot.
It is.
And what does Zira discover there, Bob?
She discovers that written on her notepad says, "My name is Taylor." She is shocked and dismayed.
It's a great reaction shot again of Zira. And she commands the other guy. She goes, "Hey, I want this human taken to the infirmary. I want to talk to him." And the guard's mad or whatever, but she says, "Hey, you wouldn't hurt me, would you, Taylor?" She's whispering it to him, and then we get a shot of Taylor smiling.
It's such a weird shot to end the issue on.
It is very much a weird shot. Taylor's very happy. He's very happy now. And next issue, Manhunt. There we go. There it is. That's issue 2. Adventures on Planet of the Apes. Thoughts, Bob?
It's fantastic. It's everything you could want.
I mean, as a comic book, I will say, like, if it's a little slow, like there's not a lot going on, you know? But they're just recapping the movie, so they got to stay faithful to the film. There is just a lot of monkeys talking, standing around talking.
Well, frankly, that's the way the movie is, too. I mean, it was made in 1968. It's a little slow.
So maybe not the most thrilling adaptation of a film. But, for me, there's a monkey on every page. I'm happy.
Yeah, so many monkeys.
Yeah, I can't be too angry about this. And I like George Tuska's art here, good classic comic book art.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not too much to complain about, It's not overly thrilling or anything. I'll go 8 out of 10 on it.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to rate it on a different scale because it is just a movie adaptation. But for what it is, it's very good. I think an 8's totally fair. The art's really good. It tells the story that it needs to tell. What more could you want?
Yeah, we can't really break down too much here with Planet Adventures on Planet of the Apes because it's not like Dr. Zaius appears in Spider-Man at some point. No, he doesn't really.
Yeah, it's not much crossover there.
Anything else you'd like to say about Planet of the Apes?
All the movies are a lot of fun except for the second one, and everyone should go watch them.
Yeah, weren't they like Escape from Planet of the Apes and something else or?
Yeah. It's the second one is Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which also has Charlton Heston. He's in the very beginning and the very end. Yeah, he's in the very beginning of the movie, and then he like falls through a wall, a hidden like secret wall, and then he comes back at the very end. And the rest of the movie is about underground human mutants. It's very strange.
Yeah, because I would have bet any money he never did a sequel. But how about that? So he showed up for like one day at work, and he said, "All right, I'll fall through a wall."
Exactly.
And then that's it. All right, well, that's something.
And then I'm just going to spoil things now, but at the end of the movie, he sets off a huge nuclear bomb and destroys the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, what a creep!
Right?
Yeah.
Such a jerk.
Yeah, like I don't understand why do that.
Because he's very mad at the apes, and he's very mad that he can't get home, and he's dying. As I recall, he's dying in his last move when he falls and pushes the button to blow up the planet.
Man, but I mean, it's not like he can do anything to bring humanity back by blowing up the planet, So
right
now you're just murdering a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah, just monkey murder. He's not the best dude in the world. Even in the first movie, he's not exactly a good guy. He's just a jerk astronaut who shows up and messes with these monkeys.
Well, what's his big famous quote, though, from that first one? Go ahead. Say it, Bob.
I'm not going to try to do the accent, or the inflection, I guess, but he says, "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape," I believe that's exactly what it says.
Damn dirty ape. Yeah, he's caught in a net. And, cause I did see that panel. They recreate that in the comic. I think it's, maybe the end of issue 3. But get your hand off me, you damn dirty ape.
Well, yeah, you got to recreate that.
Yeah. So that's Beneath Planet of the Apes. Then he blows it up, and then what do they do?
Well, sure. Clearly, the series has to be over, right? Because he blew up the planet.
Blew up the planet.
Well, at the start of the third movie, Zira and Cornelius, you discover that they have gotten into a spaceship because they're trying to leave. And when the planet blows up, they get thrown into a time warp, and they end up back on Earth in 1970.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So they're two apes or two monkeys. Wait, who did you say went with Zira? Zaius?
Zira and Cornelius.
Oh, Cornelius. So I guess Zaius is dead then.
Yeah, Zaius was on the planet.
Okay. So now we have Cornelius. It's the old switcheroo again. Cornelius and Zira are now amongst the humans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And at first, all the humans are very excited. There's talking apes. But then you find some humans who are just a bunch of jerks and just think these apes are trouble.
Yeah, that always happens.
Right?
Humans are the worst. So then that would be the third movie?
That's the third movie. So in that movie, they have a son, Caesar, and basically they give him to Ricardo Montalban, which is exciting. Because he runs a zoo, and so they're basically running from the authorities, and they find this, and he takes him in because he's got another monkey or chimpanzee, I believe, and so he basically switches the babies so that their baby can live, and then they all die at the end except for the baby. And so, yeah,
Caesar. I recall Caesar was Tim Roth's monkey, wasn't he? Wasn't that Tim Roth?
I forget.
Or is Caesar in the second batch of films?
He's in the second batch of films.
Okay.
But they reuse a lot of names in the movies, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the third one.
What did you say that one was called?
That is Escape from Planet of the
Okay.
Apes. And then there's Conquest, I believe is what the fourth one is called. And
Conquest of
the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, they're all of Planet of the Apes. In that one, it jumps ahead probably 15 years or something, and now apes are all slaves for humans, and they're all just basically, they're slaves. They're servants and stuff. But so some humans treat them all right, some humans treat them like garbage, but they're all just servants for humans. But Ricardo Montalban's still there, and he loves Caesar, and he's taking good care of him, and so Caesar can talk. But he has to tell him, like, you have to pretend to be dumb. You have to pretend to be my servant because they have to go into the city for something. And, things don't go to plan, and some of the military jerks figure out that Caesar can talk, and they try to hunt him down. But then he leads an uprising and gets the apes to uprise against him. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one might be my favorite one, other than the first one. That one's a lot of fun.
There you go. Well, Bob, thank you so much for your Planet of the Apes knowledge. I think we've all learned a lot.
Happy to help. I mean, we didn't even talk about Battle for Planet of the Apes.
What is that?
That one's the fifth one, and that one jumps ahead hundreds of years, I think. And so it's the chimpanzees and the gorillas fighting, basically.
Oh, that might be my favorite one yet.
Right? It's very good. There are humans in there, too, but basically it's mostly about the fight between the gorilla faction, or the monkey factions.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Hopefully the chimps win.
The chimps do win.
Because they got the brains.
They got the brains, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Is that the final one then, or is there still more?
That's the final one mostly. That's the final one of the original 5. And then I haven't seen these, so I don't know. But basically, right after the movies, they started filming a TV show, which got canceled after 1 season. But the movies, I guess, did so well on TV that they decided we need more movies. So then they cut the TV show into movies as well. And I don't know the names of those movies. I have not seen them. I'm pretty sure they're terrible. That's
a lot of Planet of the Apes.
But yeah, they just let's keep this train running. So they did that. I don't know, late 70s, early 80s.
All right. So there it is. That's your Planet of the Apes. That's more than anyone could possibly want to know about Planet of the Apes.
I disagree. I think everyone wants to know all about Planet of the Apes.
You heard it here on
Except
Flea
for
Market
most of the
Fantasy.
people I know in life who, particularly my fiance, who has no interest in watching all of the Planet of the Apes movies with me.
Well, I'm glad you finally found an outlet for your Planet of the Apes love.
That's true.
Hey, if we ever watch Planet of the Apes on LCS, we'll get you on there to talk about it.
All right. I'm in.
So, all right, Bob. So next week, if all goes according to plan, Kevin Jank will be here with us, and we will be reviewing a book that you're about to select right now. So tell us what you chose.
Yes, you've made a horrible mistake by giving me the keys to the kingdom here. And listeners of the show will know that I'm, like you, mostly a Marvel fan. But there is one section of DC that I very much enjoy.
I don't like where this is going.
And that is the DC that later became Vertigo. And so this is one of those books.
Oh, well, you know what? That'll be pretty good because we've never done this on the show. We've never done a Vertigo book.
Yeah, it's not Vertigo because it doesn't become Vertigo until into the 90s, but basically people think of these as Vertigo.
I just have one request. Hopefully it's not Sandman.
It is not a Sandman book. There is no Sandman in this.
Oh, that's good.
We are going to do John Constantine Hellblazer, issue 7.
All right. I've heard of this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's your kind of fella. I don't know that you'll enjoy this issue, but he's your kind of fella. Grouchy old detective. A cult detective, really.
I do love grouchy old detectives. John Constantine Hellblazer, issue 7. Did you say what year this is from?
This is from July of 88, so pushing the edge of the Bronze Age.
Hellblazer, issue 7, 1988. All right, well, this will be pretty good. I'm sure Jank will enjoy this.
Yeah, I think you will. I can send you the link here. But yeah.
I got it. I'll find it.
All right, cool.
All right, Bob. Well, thank you very much for filling in for Jank. It's much appreciated. And so until next week, don't get any Jank on you.